Those are all absolutely.
There he is. Oh, wow. Both of them together. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, the door opens. Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas. Really. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. If I'd have everyone's attention, we're going to call to order the December 14th, 2018 Board of Supervisors meeting. I want to welcome everyone. As always, we begin our meeting with a prayer. Would y'all please pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you for many blessings and opportunities you provide us each and every day. Special blessing goes out to boards like this throughout this state as well as country and our national leaders, especially that you provide them the wisdom to make the best decisions that facilitate the needs of the citizens here in this great country. We ask a special blessing in this holiday season, that this season is not good for everyone. Everyone has different emotional tends one way or the other, and just help guide these folks through this celebration of Jesus' birth, but understanding that their needs may be a little bit different. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We're going to start off with public comments and recognize. We're going to recognize Ms. Sloan Berry, and I'm going to let Mr. Daniel Cross take over from here.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a second, and it's always nice when we have people come in to the Board of Supervisors to be recognized for special achievements, but it's extra special when we get someone from Northwest Rankin to come in. They bring in these guys from Brandon and Pearl over here, and when we have somebody from Northwest, it's always an extra special honor. But we're going to recognize Sloan Berry today, and Mr. Slade's going to read us a resolution here in the next couple of minutes. But I want to commend her for her work, and we're going to come down and get some pictures and all made with her. But she's also got a great family. From Chris and Jennifer's done a great job. I'd probably say Jennifer did a great job of bringing Sloan up on this side. But it's a true award. She's been to Buckingham Palace, winning a national award along with the governor's mansion. But this has got to be the true high water mark, the Rankin County Board of Supervisors, right? So, but having said that, Sloan, I can't tell you how appreciative we are and thankful to have you in our community. And you're definitely one of the true leaders that are coming up through our school system. So thank you for your hard work and dedication. So with saying that, if we could, maybe we could all step down here.
We'll let Mr. Slade go first and have the resolution, then we'll do a picture.
Gentlemen, it's a real privilege to provide to you today for your consideration a resolution that commends and congratulates this young lady, Sloan Berry, on being the very first ever winner of the Royal Commonwealth Society essay competition from the United States. And it's one of our own kids right here out of the Rankin County School District in Northwest. And so we've got this resolution to commend her. And at this time, Sloan, I'd ask for you and your parents, Chris and Jennifer, to come forward. Lindsay, would you come forward as well, if you don't mind? And I want to recognize all of these folks, but obviously the person of honor here is Sloan Berry. So Sloan, come stand right here beside me. I'm going to read this resolution that's been prepared on behalf of the Board of Supervisors.
Hey, Craig, also Mr. Taylor's a principal there at middle school. I'll mention him as well, yes, to come up as well.
Please join us up here. We want everybody to get a little bit of recognition out of this day. It's a big deal. And so it gives me great pride and pleasure to read this resolution. Whereas Sloan Berry is the 14-year-old daughter of Chris and Jennifer Berry, and she's an 8th grader at Northwest Rankin Middle School, and she's a resident of Rankin County Supervisor District 2. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr.
So we made sure that we got that on here.
Thank you, Mr. Slade.
Whereas the Royal Commonwealth Society was founded in 1868 in England, and it seeks to promote the shared values common to Western culture as reflected throughout all countries of the developed world that have been influenced by the spread of the English Commonwealth. As part of its mission, the Royal Commonwealth Society hosts an annual essay competition that's open to all countries wherein the society maintains an affiliate. Until the fall of 2017, the Royal Commonwealth Society had no affiliate presence in the United States. And so under the leadership of Governor Phil Bryant, the Royal Commonwealth Society of the United States was formed and is now housed at the University of Mississippi. And whereas the Royal Commonwealth Society of the United States instituted its first essay competition in the United States in 2018, Sloan Berry submitted an inspired poetic essay entitled Our Common Musical Earth, drawing from her gift for music, her interest in history, and her keen understanding of our common reliance on shared values to promote a harmonious society. Sloan's poem was selected by the U.S. affiliate and submitted to the Royal Commonwealth Society in London, England, where her entry was designated as the first ever United States winning essay. And whereas Sloanberry is a highly engaged and multi-talented individual, she is a member of the Northwest Rankin Middle School volleyball team, the junior varsity tennis team. She's the first chair flutist. I'm going to use flutist, okay? I know that flautist is out there, but I looked it up, and they said you need to go with flutist. Okay, so we're going to go with flutist. In the band, she plays the violin and is a member of the school's academic team. She's also the vice president of the Junior Beta Club, and she's active at Pine Lake Church. And whereas Rankin County, Mississippi is a proud supporter of our children and their parents who seek to achieve at the highest levels of academic and extracurricular activities, Rankin County applauds the work of the Royal Commonwealth Society of the United States to provide cultural experiences with others around the world, avenues for achievement at the highest levels, and opportunities for engagement outside the United States. Such efforts instill valuable mental skills, work ethic, and learning experiences that would otherwise be unavailable. The Board of Supervisors is very proud of Sloanberry and the Berry family for their commitment to excellence, their hard work, and their achievement and community involvement. And so it's with great pride on behalf of all citizens of Rankin County that we, the Board of Supervisors, recognize and commend Sloanberry, the first United States winner of the Royal Commonwealth Society United States Essay Competition. Sloan, wow. Congratulations on So we're really happy to have getting for Christmas. Absolutely.
If y'all could slide this way, the truck's gonna take a quick picture.
Hey, let's get down there.
Chris, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jay's the first one to tell me that, hey, Chris is Pearl. I was like, hey, Jim more than Northwest Rankin, though.
Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, you sure?
Well, come on in. Yeah.
No, you're good, yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sloan.
Congratulations. Very proud of you. I know you are. Look, you got to thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You have some award, otherwise it wouldn't be. Great job.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Seeing you again. Congratulations. Good to see you. Keep Chris. Congratulations. All right.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Great job. Dallas Cowboys.
All right, next on the agenda, Mr. Carl Franco.
Yeah, man, things get out of hand. I'm gonna get my terrible towel.
Now I want y'all to remember that I'm in the same district too as that previous young lady. I'd like to be accorded that same
train of thought.
Yes.
It was a good try.
I read it.
Just an update on the overall cost of everything. And it actually is $100,000 better.
You say you gave it to me upside down. Was that supposed to be a sign? Upside down in?
No. This is just an update from last month, if you remember. And the figures are generally the same, except we've actually improved $100,000, depending on some of the upcoming decisions. But you can see this is a running total beginning with the courthouse. I think those figures are essentially the same as they were last time on that first page. The second page is the new misdemeanor, and those figures have included, the only difference is we finalized some change orders that were on there last time. On the K-9 facility, we actually had an estimate last time of $500,000. I'm going to bring you today roughly $400,000 in costs. So we've gone down on what we're looking at, and I'll give you the reasons for that. And then total on there. At the back is a summary. Now, there's some cost in there that's not included. We're currently working on the chancery renovation. I'm not sure exactly right now how much that's going to cost. We're trying to keep costs down by using as much of the existing wall systems. Essentially, in talking with the facilities people, the roof is in basically good shape. It was put on after Katrina.
Yeah.
The mechanical systems, for the most part, I think there's been 1 or 2 units replaced over the last few years. So right now, we're assuming that those do not need any major cost, and what we're looking at is interior renovations. Now, there's a lot of the carpet, like in the corridor and stuff, is in good condition, but on the east side, we pretty much would be gutting that side, going down. That's where the community development, 911, most of that would go. On the west side, a lot of that would stay exactly as it is, depending, new paint, things of that nature. So as soon as we can get the plan tied down, we can do a little more accurate cost estimating. I have done some estimating on it, and my figures right now are $400,000 to $500,000, but that doesn't include anything on the basement for the election commission, and there may not need to be a whole lot done down there. We've got to finalize that.
Say your figure again.
$400,000 to $500,000 of interior, $400,000 to $500,000.
Yeah, I got it this time.
And that sounds like a lot. It may be less, but I'm trying to be. What we're seeing in these type projects right now is the cost being extremely high because there's so much work going on out there. That there's not a whole lot of interest unless they can get a decent profit. Now, we would see this being bid to smaller contractors. We have a list of contractors who do this size project. So hopefully, as we go forward, we can define that a little bit less and see how that's going to work out. So that's where we are on cost. Do y'all have any questions right now on that?
Well, the thing that kind of shocks me is the renovation that cost, and we're building a whole canine facility, which I think that's high to me, but
It
still.
is. I would agree, Jared. I'm just telling you what we've seen. We've seen $150 a square foot for renovation on the last few projects around. And it will depend on the extent of it. Now, this one, hopefully, we're not going to be doing as much. As I say, we're going to be trying to use as many of the existing walls as possible. The corridor wall, for sure. And really, in the current Chancery Clerk's office, well, the suite as you come into the right, we're not really tearing anything down there. We're going to be building some new walls, a couple of walls for offices, and then painting.
Carl,
And then-
could we not use just a regular contractor? Like someone does remodels on residentials?
Sure. Well, you can use, they just have to have a certificate of responsibility.
Like commercial, like.
And they're gonna be, the
They're
renovators
gonna be
there are
commercial.
just as high as the commercial ones too. They all, anything you touch renovation, it automatically adds 25 to 30% for some unknown reason. Well, another reason, because of the unknown, but yeah, it's just.
And I may be a little conservative on these figures, but I don't know exactly on the electrical. The mechanical, we'll have to move a little duck around, but we're not planning on changing the units. We did this up in Madison County last year, almost exactly the same thing, and it was $400-something thousand. We renovated a room to a new courtroom, and then we redid their administrative space.
Well, don't send any of those contractors to bid. Send it to some other people.
Well, when we did the circuit court, we had a local guy that did that, and it was a real good price. But we tried to get him on Madison County, and he was booked up. So
I know why.
yeah. I mean, it's
Good
just
price.
it's just cost. But that's where we're at right now on this, and that figure could hopefully go down. But I don't want to tell you one thing, come back later and say we need another couple $100,000.
We might need to let Harrison do it. How much do you per foot over there, Mike? $70, $75 a foot?
In a situation like that, I mean, well, it may be something to consider as far as that contract.
That's certainly up to y'all.
Be on time. That's exactly right.
I'm anticipating that being bid. If you want to look at, and I don't know there'd be any less, doing a change order like to the courthouse project, It may be that they could do it for less since they've got people in the area. But
I don't know about them.
yeah. Well, the problem is you can't do that until you finish the courthouse anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
Can,
So we'll see how that rolls out here a little bit later.
and you probably already are, but the K-9 facility just sounds, even at 400 foot, can we get with the sheriff and let him give us some ideas that may save some money?
Wait.
I mean, it's
I think
dog
they've already
pound.
done
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
we've
that
done
makes
that, and I'm getting ready, let me go over that now, before we get too far off of it. We started with the K-9. The original design was around 650, 700,000. We changed that design, we got it down to about 550. We changed that design, and it didn't really save anything. So we're on our fourth or either fifth design, and basically this design, moved the building up into the existing parking lot of the misdemeanor, so we lost a few spaces. We went to a pre-engineered building. We did look at changing the interior walls to something else, but we stayed with CMU because the contractor said by the time they priced all the differences, it was just as about the same cost. In the CMU, they can wash it down. But where we're at on that, and this is assuming we can do it as a change order. That's what y'all want to do. We're at $383,000, and that includes all the site work, all the building structure, the walls. It includes all the duct work. It includes all the electrical. It includes exterior brick. It includes all the frames and stuff and ceilings. What it does not include, and this is based on a previous meeting with the sheriff, where we think that some of his residents can do some of the work. It does not include like the exterior fencing or painting or floor coverings or the kennel equipment or cameras. So if that's okay. And
What's the material being used on it?
it's pre-engineered steel frame and CMU and brick.
It still just seems astronomical.
Well, the option is,
What's the footage?
that's, you don't want to know what the square footage is. The footage is about 1,000 square feet heated and another 1,000 square feet covered.
There ain't no way.
I've been down that the mechanical original price was $112,000. That's $100 a square foot for mechanical. And we changed all that. We looked at window units. We looked at, and I still think there's some savings in the mechanical equipment, but they've gone to.
Yeah, I mean, I can't swallow that one.
Well, we can the option is
I mean,
to bid it.
112, and you're talking 1,000 square feet. To air condition it, heat and cool it?
Heat and cool and plumbing it's got a drain down through it for the dogs to wash it out.
Yeah, I
But still, that seems ridiculous. Well, the unit price, which this does not include, is like $26,000 for the equipment. It does include all the duct and everything else, but the actual unit itself is $26,000 right now, which I think is high. But
I
we've
understand the need on it, but I can't swallow that. That kind of cost. But I mean, you're
I
talking
would
about
tend to agree. I don't know what else.
talking about a big garage.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not even using the same subs. Their subs that they're using on misdemeanor were higher than the ones they've got here. So they went and they bid this to different subcontractors. The only thing I can tell you, Jared, and it is ridiculous. Well, I would say it's ridiculous. It is what it is, but it's just what's going on right now in this industry, in this area. And that's, I don't know, I can't explain it. I don't have an answer, but I know we're seeing this across the board in a lot of the school work. Some of the prices have
Right.
come back high. Now, we did actually, on some of the larger school projects, they actually came in under because of the size of them, but the smaller projects. Now, the two options you have on this K-9 facility is you can either do it as a change order at this price, or you can bid it. Now, this is what I see as the advantages and disadvantages of it. If you decide to bid it, there's a chance it could be lower, but you can't. We don't recommend bidding it right now. We don't recommend bidding it until the contractor is finished with the misdemeanor. because there's just not enough room to have two separate contractors, and you're gonna get into
That's true,
who's responsible for what.
right.
So.
Yeah, they're pretty cramped up over there now.
So if
Some
you,
of the other
if you say you bid it, we could bid it after the first of the year, but they couldn't start work till June or so. I don't know what the price is gonna be then when we bid it. And then they won't get through with it, because the reason why we didn't go to pre-engineered building originally, we thought that just using load-bearing block with joists would save time, is it takes 3 months to get the pre-engineered building frame. After that, it won't take them but a few months to finish it. So you're talking about 5 to 6 months to finish it, so it'd be toward the end of the year. If you want to do that, though, there's, you can get, it could be that the price could be less, or it could be more, because I don't know where materials are going.
That's true,
So,
yeah.
to be honest with you, it's a rock in a hard place.
Yeah. Materials have gone up, good Lord, in the last year.
Anything metal has gone crazy,
I know it.
and that goes through electrical wiring.
Oh, I know, welding rods, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
I know,
it's just
I
so-
know exactly what you're saying.
I know that we've looked at every, short of doing a wood frame building, which I don't, you can't, you need something that you can wash down.
Right.
Is Chris here? He's a dog hand. I don't, I'm open to any suggestions, but we've talked to all sorts of people, and we met with the sheriff and his people several times. We've met with the contractors. Those are the two options that I see right now.
Even a pre-engineered, if you're gonna put the, you're putting the steel on the concrete at the base like normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even washing that out, that has potential to get moisture.
Right, well,
Would it not have a
we're,
brick ledge that
yeah, we're
is
going,
mounted on?
yeah, we're gonna,
I mean, a
what we
concrete.
started with was coming up with just a ledge of CMU, then going up with plywood or metal. But when they priced that, it wasn't that much more just to go all the way with CMU, and it was just simpler to do that. They thought it would save money actually doing that, because they would have one less trade to bring in for metal panels and plywood, and
Right.
so that's where we're at on that. And I think, as I said, there's still things that have to be done that are not included in that price that I wanted to. We preliminary met with the sheriff, but I wanted to meet with his guys again before we finalize this, just to make sure y'all are comfortable with those kind of things like painting and floor covering.
I'm just not comfortable spending that much taxpayer money on building
Well,
houses.
Can I make a, just to throw a thought out there for all of us to consider? One idea that I think might work is to provide for the footprint that we're talking about, and making sure that whatever appropriate planning should be made from the standpoint of whatever's got to be in the ground or accommodated from a footprint standpoint, making sure that you've got access for utilities and you've got access for whatever would have to accommodate the function of the building, that if you went beyond the foundation stage, you would have gone too far if you hadn't planned for it. But make the plan for wherever the footprint would be, but hold up on construction. And the thought process is, why don't we wait and see if we can get past this pressure that we're seeing in the market, where the demand is outstripping the supply in the subcontractor world, and maybe that pricing will come more back more in line if we just delay this for a little while. I just don't want us to
Oh, I agree.
not plan for it.
I agree, and I mean, I agree everything you're saying, because I have some ideas that I think we need to maybe look at.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, and,
So my thought would be to-
obviously, the footprint needs to be what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
Make sure that we've accounted for what the building itself, once it does get constructed, is going to have at the foundation stage. Just make sure that that's well prepared, but then sit on the actual construction of that facility until we see a better time to do that. I just think that the timing is what's getting us here. And as long as the sheriff understands that there would be some
I appreciate you
delay.
speaking up, Sheriff, because, I mean, that's a hard one to swallow.
Well, I think we're being held hostage. I mean, when we can build an office building and a shop, the size and the quality that we're building out here for under $100 a square foot, and it's gonna cost $200 a square foot to build a canine facility, I think they know that there's a lot of work out there, and we're gonna pay whatever they want us to pay.
Well, you're right. The canine facility is costing per square foot 2 or 3 times more than what the misdemeanor facility costs. If you may remember, we came in $1 million under on the
We
misdemeanor.
I'm not on board.
But
with
it's
that.
just, it's a combination of things, really. We did bid the misdemeanor at the right time before some of these price increases really came about, so. We can certainly do that. We basically have that done. We just need to reconfirm that, because that's what we had to do to get this to this point. So that's.
Sheriff, what do you do with the dogs now that you have, I mean,
I was able to get some aluminum kennels about the size of this table from surplus property. So I have 3 of those, and 2 of the deputies have at home. I have 1 out here, but like Wes Shipper just had back surgery, so we're having to take care of his dogs. So his dog's here in this kennel. The only problem is when it gets so cold at night, different things. So Chris Pickey is really working, shifting dogs around, making sure that they're all taken care of. I mean, he's on top of it. It'd be nice to just have one place to park.
Sure.
Right.
It's heated, air conditioned. Like I got a deputy, one of the interdiction guys is going on cruise next week, so we got to make arrangements for his dog. Now a lot of times we use the vet, Dr. Kirby is always good to us, but you know some of these kennel places are outrageous on keeping them. So I just think the paper sitting down the road, plus just the liability on us for these dogs. I mean, we got a huge investment, $25,000 a piece in them. So I just think we need to take, have a good facility.
Well, I agree, and I'm on board with something, but I mean, you say 1,000 square feet.
Heated, and it's another 1,000 covered. The way that it works is the kennels allows them to go to, the inside is heated, and then they can go to the outside fenced in.
Right, right.
But we could buy a house here in Brandon and fix it.
I wasn't gonna say that. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you said that. Right.
Well, and there may be, there's some flexibility when we get engineers and architects involved. We're bound by codes and everything else, and so there may be some flexibility that can save some money that we don't, from our profession, that we have to adhere to.
Well, I like Craig's idea, and I think if Sheriff, if you can get by, let's see what we can do. Look at a few more options. Not that we may not move forward quicker, but at least let's give it a shot. To jumping in this too quick, this absurd.
We'll do that. We'll put that on hold. Okay. For the final good news of the day.
thank you, sir.
I was saying, we could have put this off till like next month, right? No, I know. I saw the email.
I guess at some point in the history of Rankin County, people ran out of land to put stuff, so it seems like that they found the county's property. And y'all not by themselves. We just found, I was telling somebody, school district, Northwest Rankin site, they just found a bridge that was buried there some time ago. But the reason why I'm here today is because at the courthouse on the east parking lot, and you can see that first page, and then the second page shows you where they found it. They came across debris about 10 to 12 feet down, which included chunks of concrete, logs, car fenders, and a few other odds and ends. We have not found any washing machines yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. But buried there. And this is in the area where the parking is going. And so we wouldn't even found it other than the fact that they ran in, when they were running the storm sewer line is where they found it, because typically the soil borings were done in the parking lot down 6 feet, which is what you typically go down. So they wouldn't even found it. But the issue here is, and that first page is a testing and a geotech report on their recommendation to remedy this, is to dig it out down to 12 feet and come back, haul off that debris, come back with select fill, and then come back with fabric and bridge over all of that. And so that comes out to about 10,000 cubic yards that they've got to get rid of and then bring in, and it's quite expensive. As you see, the price right now is $259,000. Now I've been out there with engineers, I've been out there with geotech. Yesterday evening, we had a conference call with geotech, the site, civil engineers, the contractor, and the testing agencies. Tim Parker was part of that, and he's supposed to have my back today. I don't see him.
He's hiding in the corner.
What we did in that meeting is we really asked for options from the engineers, and if there were any options. The concern is that with this debris down underneath, there's voids around it where water has gotten in, sits, and made the soil soft. In other words, they won't support the weight is a concern possibility. Now, it's not putting the building. The building is on pilings and it's fine. This is in the parking area, so it's not like it's extremely heavy loads. But the concern is that over a period of time, you would get depressions and it would make this weaken and you'd have pavement failures, which could be in the sidewalks and in the paving. So the recommendation is to take all that out completely. Now, in our meeting yesterday, we asked if there were any other options, and we even suggested a possibility of looking at going down 6 feet instead of 12 feet and bridging over that. I got information back from the engineers, the geotech engineers last night, that they didn't even recommend that. Now, the option of doing that would be the disclaimer that, if the pavement fails, then it becomes the county's problem to fix. And depending on the failure, if it did fail, it would be, much more expensive to fix at that time than try and deal with now.
Well, Carl, what surprises me on this is several years ago, I mean, it's been a number of years, where they built the Flying J off of 80, right there, Pearl. Yeah, you know where it is, the Flying J. They built it in a swamp. It was swamp. They took dirt and moved it in there and moved it, 6 to 8 feet of select material. And the reason I know is I watched them and I thought, man, they're filling in this muck, a swamp. Well, then I was asked to go up there to do some work when they were putting the fuel tanks in. And just like everywhere else, they finished the place, then they dug the fuel tanks. When they dug those holes, they dug down to the stinking swamp mud, and they had to go in there and well point it in order to keep it dried out enough to bury the tanks and then sealed over them. Mm-hmm. So that's what surprised me. That's more muck and mud and soaked in water than this ever is. But we got to dig out all this when, look what and it's their parking lot. I mean, you got tractor trailer rigs.
I would say, and Tim, don't let me put words in my mouth. I think Tim and I both, and Seth Dean, the other civil engineer, were a little bit surprised at the extent of this remedy. We thought maybe you could bridge. We thought the other option, bridging, not digging so deep and bridging it over.
I'm not an engineer,
but
I'm just going by what I've seen and I still see it. They use it today. I mean, look what they're running across it.
Well, you may want to address this. You're more of a. I don't like dirt. Dirt's not my area, but I am surprised.
When they dug this out, seriously, I was there. They dug out truly swamp mud when they got down because the tanks were buried below this select material, and then they filled all back in around it. And I remember them well pointing it to keep it dried out so they could dig that out and bury these tanks and put select material in there.
Well, you may remember they ran into some of the same stuff over at the Mr. Meter's site, and it was not quite as extensive, but it was about $150,000 to do that. But it was under where the building was.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The question we posed to the geotech yesterday was the bridging over. I mean, common practice for bridging over bad material is put fabric down, then put a layer of sand, because you can't start compacting dirt right on the top of that fabric. then you start with loose lifts, and as you come up, you start compacting, and
Right.
by the time you get to the top, you're compacted. And that's what we asked the geotech yesterday, would that be a recommendation? And I think he wanted to check on it, and that's what Mr. Carl was talking about, he got back with him last night. Understanding that, I think where the geotech's coming from is they still know something bad's down there, and they're not gonna say this is gonna fix the problem and there's never gonna be another problem. The only
They're
way
not
they're
taking the
gonna,
liability.
the only way they're gonna do that is take it all out.
Right.
I mean, and I understand their position there, so.
Basically, it could work, but we can't tell you it could work, and because then you could be banking on what we tell you. So the
Right.
best way we can handle it is say, get it all out.
Right.
And then we feel
That's-
good.
That summarizes it
That's right.
exactly.
So what kind of change order are we looking at 6 feet in doing all this?
I'm not sure. The other thing that we talked about,
Shut it
and I
down.
was told today that may not work, is the county doing hauling off or having a place. It's $5 a yard just to dump feed this stuff. But I understand, Mike, that y'all don't really have a place to do that.
Place to dump it.
The concrete we should get rid of, Carl, you know, just a bunch of concrete.
And we talked to the contractor, even, you know, if the county had enough dump trucks and stuff, you know, them hauling off and lessening that price. And he was open to working that out. It gets into a coordination and some issues there, but, you know, we were looking at any possible way to get this cost down, but, I don't know. You could roughly figure maybe half just
Yeah.
easily, at this point.
What was that, 200 and what?
59,000, so
Yeah.
about $125,000,
How big an area are we talking about digging out?
16,000 square feet roughly.
Hey, let me ask one question, and this doesn't really help us on the money side, but how did we get to this spot here as not locating this prior before? The land, I guess, was purchased before this board came in, so was that not checked on the front side? I mean, are there any more hidden
No,
problems
so
that wasn't
the
checked on the
geotech
front?
was done, I don't think it was done prior to purchase of the land. Now, we've done that sometimes, but I think it was done afterwards.
I
And-
think,
and-
but
But it
hang on a
doesn't
second,
go
Carl.
down 12
That
feet.
particular track we had owned, the county had owned. The track you're talking about is Trustmark's track. That's where the building's sitting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The track where the parking lot is something the county has
The
owned.
county had already owned that for a long
And I
time,
believe
so
there's
it's a different
there's
track.
concrete
But when they drill it, they don't go over like 6 feet normally.
So I guess
And this is down below.
my concern is, once they dive into the unknown treasures of Rankin County in that spot, can it get worse? Can we find worse? mean,
Well,
do we
I
have to
asked
go
that
further than
question,
that?
if you'll look on that, you're seeing you're basically at the southeast corner, and they didn't find anything at the north end, and I asked them about it, what about the north end? They said, well, the geotech said, there's been some work done there, and we hadn't run across any, because of the different grades and elevations, we don't think that there's gonna be any major there, but that's certainly, there's nothing else, and they didn't find any on the west, behind the building, the secure parking lot, and they've dug down a lot of that, so.
It's just kind of like that exploratory surgery.
It
you know?
is. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
And I did ask that exact question though, Daniel, because I don't want to again be here another month from now saying they found some more. There's always that possibility, but they think that the majority, that this is most majority of everything. Based on what they've already constructed and what they think is there.
All right, so tell me, you probably put this in, I know I saw it in an email though, tell me about the time frame. You're talking about a 45-day window?
48.
Does that, tell me how that works in the system. Does that stop their time frames? Does it stop their
It adds,
marching
but
clock?
that's what was requested, but I don't think it's gonna take that long. They would be entitled to some extension, because it's gonna take them longer to get that down, but,
Couple weeks.
Wait a minute, with that extension though, yeah, but that extension's gonna then roll over. It shouldn't slow any of the construction of the building down.
no, it won't. It
So
won't.
I'm saying, since they're behind on that, they really shouldn't be able to use this to help them on
Yeah,
that.
it's gotta be looked at, but it's supposed to be on the critical path, and it won't,
Because the
it won't
building
slow
can
the
be
building.
continued
Yeah,
work
no,
on.
they're,
There's
they're,
They shouldn't
stopping
stop
it.
that.
they're working on the building, and what, yes, the building, it shouldn't slow the building down, but it, you know, it should slow just getting the parking lot and the landscaping and all that down for sure. But, that's why,
Well, it's not gonna really do that, 'cause they're not gonna pour the parking lot till the building's gonna be near some type of completion before they go pour or finish
yeah, but
parking lot.
they got to get all their drainage, underground
Oh,
drainage,
I understand.
and
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
that's the problem
Right,
right
I
there.
got you.
That's, they can't really, or don't want to do it, or they feel like it's not good to do it until they get the drainage in. They got to do all this before they put the drainage in, because they got to compact around the drainage, and if they don't get it properly compacted, then you're gonna have the same issues. And we've got a big, I don't know how big a line it runs right now, basically in this area.
When did they first find this? When did they first start putting their drains under the ground?
They found this a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, out at the site. They called us, then we got the geotech out there and monitored it and give a recommendation. So this recommendation came out this week.
So they're just now starting to put the drains under the ground.
On this side of the site, they've got them on toward the north end of it. They've got, because they had to come across North Street, that's what held all that up. But on this end, and they've actually got it on the south end. I think that was the sewer line. But this is the main storm drainage. They started a week or two ago digging out there. So this is kind of the last of the underground utilities that they have.
I don't want to give them any more days. And I think Tim, as for me, is an engineer, and I defer to what he tells us what's best. It's just, boy, it just really happened right here at the end when we're already behind and we've already got, you know.
I think we're all on board not wanting to go 12 feet, right?
I don't see it because of just what I explained to you. You can get around on a swamp that's still mucky mud underneath you and it surrounds it. I just don't see it. It was probably 6 to 8 feet is what they had there. I was there when they dug it out.
We kind of need to give you some guidance, don't we?
I need something, and I don't know that I need a specific, I just need something because they can't really, if there's gonna be additional monies involved, they can't really do that work until, as I understand, and you tell me if I'm wrong, until it's been passed across the board minutes.
Right, right.
So I need either something not to exceed or something to move forward. I'm not sure how it would be crafted.
Let me ask a liability question, Craig. Let's just say we go the 6, you talking about maybe going 6 feet. Let's just say we go the 6 feet route. That's not sufficient enough. 5 years down the road, we start getting sinkholes. That starts, any way this impacts the building? The footprint of the building?
I don't think so because it's on pylons.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
believe it would impact the building at all.
This is both pedestrian,
It's
cars,
parking
not big
and-
trucks.
Right.
Well, I mean, you
sidewalk.
say that, but I'm saying when you get a sinkhole there, you know, and water has gotten in and compromised the dirt, but if you say with the pilings there, that should not be an issue.
It should
for
not.
them.
I'll verify that with the structural, but that's the whole reason. We knew the soil borings when they did this found fill material. That's why the building's on piles.
Right.
They didn't find debris particularly. Found some minor stuff, but not debris. But that's what drove putting the building on piles, and they go down 40 feet, I think, and they're argon piles or something. I don't think it would impact the building. Matter of fact, most of this that they found is closer toward North Street, but they did some test digging, and they were going to do more. They could do more closer as it moves toward the west, toward the building. But I don't think it would impact the building, and I'll verify that with the structural engineer.
I think you know where I'm headed with this conversation is if we go 6 feet and something happens there and something obscure with the building and we kind of get, it turns out, well, if y'all had gone down 12 feet and taken care of the dirt problem down there, you wouldn't have had this problem. So you knew about the problem.
Yes.
Now you're on your own fixing any
Right.
problems.
Absolutely. Anything short of what you're being told is the recommendation from the geotech, which is coming
Right.
through the general. Anything short of that is going to generate an argument that that you failed to follow the recommendation, and therefore any resulting damage is the county's responsibility. At some point, though, there has to be a discussion about cost benefit and some sort of risk analysis here. And with Tim and with Carl suggesting that they put it to the geotech, what if we use an accepted approach to deal with this that is used in the industry, which is to put fabric down without digging it out, put fabric down and then do the select material on top. Will that work? At some point, you guys have got to decide, are they just going to continue to camp out on this? You got to get it all out of there before we'll certify it? Or are you going to take the recommendation that's coming from our side that this will satisfactorily deal with the issue?
Okay,
Right.
how do we know, are we sure at 12 feet How do we know it doesn't go 18 or 20?
Well, that's what I was asking me. See, that.
Well,
I mean, how?
You don't.
They dug down, and that's generally between 10 and 12 is where they found it to this point. You're
Okay,
right, we
so-
don't.
Once you get into 12 foot, you can go deeper than that.
Well,
Okay,
what I'm saying, okay, let's just say will this same process work if we don't go any deeper than 12? If, say, it's 18 or 20, but we do the same process? Or are they gonna keep going, no, you gotta keep going deeper and deeper and deeper? I mean, instead of doing the 6 feet, if we dug out the 12 and did the 12 feet like we were talking about, will they go along with that?
I can't speak for the.
I know that, I know, but I mean, that would be my other question, because, okay.
But you
we
know,
got-
realistically, y'all, 5 years from now, it's gonna be on us anyway.
That's right.
You know, there's no contractor gonna come back. I mean, heck, the juvenile facility, we can't get them come out and fix the air conditioner. So, you know, I think it's a moot point. It's gonna be on us anyway.
But my thing was, it's only $160,000 more, and they're okay with it being at least 12, they'll get certified at, say, 12 feet. That may be something to look at.
I would like for us to have the cost, which is about $250, to do the 12, and then look at the cost to do what you're saying, which would be about 6 foot. If it's not, I mean, if we're $100,000 difference, I would say go the full
I
12.
think that's what you're looking at.
I think based on the, you
I mean,
can.
if we're gonna-
If they'll let you stop at 12, what?
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, how do you have to dig out at all doing the fabric and doing the sand and all? How far down do you have to go to do that?
Yeah, we would need to dig out 6 feet to do that.
To do that?
So you're looking at, and his price is really based on quantities. And if you dig 6 foot instead of 12 foot, it's gonna be roughly half. There may be, probably gonna be a little bit more than half, just for some reason I'm missing. But, I'd also consider, possibly getting another geotechnical engineer to,
They just put their
I
word
think
in.
it's a storm.
the
thing.
situation we posed, I'm curious as to why it won't work. And I'd like for the geotech to tell me, we're just not willing to put our name behind it, because here's how I asked it to him was, can we put down fabric, sand, select material, and get it satisfactory for a proof roll? If it's satisfactory for a proof roll, it's good at that moment. Now, who knows what's gonna happen 10 years from now if something down there rots or moves or whatever, we may have a void. But if it passes a proof roll, there's stability present at the surface, which means it can be paid, it's ready to be paid. And that's what he came back last night and said that I didn't talk to him, but that they're not willing to, I don't know how they said it, but
Yeah, they didn't feel comfortable about that as a recommendation, even with the disclaimer that, because we said, we understand, the contractor would have a disclaimer because they're not following the recommendation. They were not.
We already
And my
had a
question would be
dumpster
just
there.
like
And that means a garbage truck running there at least twice a week or once a week and for years. And we didn't have any sinkage there. And I'm
We got
pretty sure
some
they didn't
roads.
dig down anything.
We got some roads back in the day, they left the stumps in there, and I know one that's probably 40 years old, we're just now dealing with sinkholes for almost all that debris under it. I mean, 40 years.
I do think this all goes back, if this was 20 or 30 years ago, I think it'd be a different story. But I think in today's society, they're just, it's just becoming, they just don't want to take that.
Right.
Liability.
I think it's the fact they don't want to sign their names, and I understand that.
Yep.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, get the cost, I think, like Steve said, get the cost of the two. But my other question would be, I'd like
We're
to
not
find out
meeting
if.
back for 2 weeks. They need to move on.
Really, by the
Yeah.
time you do January
I'd like-
3rd.
Okay, well, what I was gonna say was the cost, but if 12 feet, if they're okay with doing 12 feet and leaving it there, even if something deeper, doing just what you're saying, only go with the 12 foot, and it's only $120,000-$130,000 more, and we're good, then I think that'd be compromise on both sides.
One option that you have is to authorize Carl to utilize all of the parties that have already come to the table to develop a plan, an acceptable plan that the geotechs can live with, that our engineers can live with, that Carl as architect can live with, the general can live with to some degree, see if they can reach that solution. And it seems to me that if you're prepared to do it, you might say something along the lines of whatever this solution is that everybody can live with shall be implemented at a cost not to exceed $150,000. Okay.
We could just rock pave it, couldn't we? I'm trying to get Judge Roberts' attention. He's ignoring me, I guess.
All right, so,
That
But you
would
know what, no
be,
matter what we do, we probably gonna wind up with a sinkhole somewhere there, no matter what. And what we're gonna do there, we're gonna fill it in.
So why
ours to
waste the
fix
money
anyway.
then?
Huh?
You know, why waste the money?
Because it's ours to fix anyway.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I just soon save that $100,000, you know, or $150,000.
And there may be a legitimate reason why they're saying, no, that won't work in this scenario. I don't know what that is.
What is it? Could
I'd
we do
certainly
it
like
and
to
poll?
consult another
Could we do this,
geotech for that.
what we're saying, and poll the board?
you need to have some kind of
Yeah,
parameter out
yes.
there to box
Yeah.
it in, to say,
Yeah,
this,
I
you
know
can
that.
do this
What-
within this box of parameters.
what needs to happen
Everything
is-
outside that
Yeah,
yeah,
doesn't
they
work.
need
That's what we're
to, they need
asking.
to be able to go and have the conversations that we want them to have. And if they can get a number that everybody will live with, and it's inside a number that you guys can live with now, let's tell them that, not to exceed, okay? And that way, we don't have to come back on the 3rd of January and try to address the situation. And now we're 2 more weeks into the,
Okay.
into the
Question,
mess.
I have a
What do you wanna do
question,
then?
I have a question for Tim. You said that, you're talking about visiting with another geotech firm. What if you visit with that geotech firm? They say, yeah, we'll back a 6-foot dig. We think that's adequate. We think they're being overly cautious. Is that kind of what you're saying you may be able to find? I
Well,
mean-
what, and there again, in the society we live in now, they're gonna have a lot of disclaimers
Sure.
also.
Right.
Looking at our lawyer over here.
Yeah.
But I just wanna know, will it work? I mean, in their opinion, can you do what I said and get it ready for approval? Forget what's gonna happen 10 years down the road with something rotten or something moving or a void caving in. From what Carl got last night, it worries me that this geotech is saying you can't even get it ready that way. But I mean, Jared's right. I mean, that is a bridging method that we've used in a lot of places. Matter of fact, Mike, didn't you do that? Didn't we do that on the We put sand in there? Yeah, I mean, that's a very common practice to put loose sand in and then start with your select material. And then at the top, you end up being able to get compaction. So,
Well, like I was telling Daniel, we got roads that we don't know exactly what's under either.
absolutely.
All right,
And we
let's-
Hey,
control that.
Let's
we're
let's
all
see if we
good with
can't
doing
come up with a
whatever we
motion
need
here.
to
Make
do,
this work.
That's what
for
we're
the
doing.
storm drain, to make sure the storm drain's set up right, however many feet we need to go down and need to do to get that right, but as far as parking lot, I'm good with 6 foot.
Mr. Gaines, what is your preference, 6 or 12? I mean, as far as a max, if Tim comes back and he finds somebody to say, yeah, that system would work, and I think you're probably in pretty good shape, and then Tim's recommendation is, this geotech firm says 6 foot's okay, and that's, even though if it's not but $125,000 difference, do we allow them to go ahead and make that call at 6 foot? If Tim's comfortable with other geotech firm recommend, that kind of what I'm getting, pretty much.
Reluctantly. I mean, I still think that if to do it the way they're saying do it is $240 and it's gonna cost, just the $175,000 to go 6 foot, then no, I'd say go ahead and do it. But if it's a bigger difference, if it's quite a bit of difference, then
I think it's going to be close to the same number.
I do too. I don't think it's gonna be, other than a hauling of extra dirt out of there, I don't think it's gonna be a
It's gonna be about half price because you're gonna be bringing that much dirt back in there. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think,
I mean,
in my opinion, it's just gonna be a little over half of this number.
Right. That's what
I don't think it's gonna be half.
Yeah,
It's gonna be more than
I
I
half.
bet it's getting close
So
to
it's
75%.
at 260 now, so half's 130, so probably 150 to 170 is probably what you're thinking it's gonna be
Probably
for
175. Somebody said
But the
175.
So
timeline,
175.
timeline's gonna be,
12, huh?
I say, yeah.
how much time would save? He's talking about 40, they're saying 45, 48.
Well, they requested 45. Everybody I've talked to does not believe it'd take that
Oh,
long.
it's not that big area.
Yeah, so,
But Carl, do we have to put
Let's-
that on the end? And we've already given them extensions, I mean, way out there. they can do this while they're working on something else too.
They can.
I mean, the only thing is the drain.
It's critical path. But you get into, that's a whole nother legal thing about extensions and extended time and overhead. They would be, I think, and I'll go back and look, they would be entitled to some time. Not 45 days, but
No.
they would be entitled to some time.
No, I think they're trying to buy more time on that end.
Give us a date, 21 days?
Yeah, something like that, I would think.
What we're gonna do if it goes to raining by the time they get
Oh,
about
it's gone.
half done?
We can come back and visit that, 'cause they're gonna be coming back for an extension anyway, you know?
Dig it 12 foot and make a goldfish
That's
pond.
what we're doing.
All right, so the consensus here is, to go to 12 feet, not to exceed the 259 or 260 that's in the letter, and 21 days, we'll approve a 21-day extension, is that kinda,
I wouldn't even put a number on the days
well,
extension.
we've already said it, but that's okay.
I mean, I just don't think there needs to be an extension on it. I
We
really
haven't
don't.
voted on it.
So whatever y'all wanna
I
do,
just don't,
let's,
I don't want any extension on it. I really don't. They need to be put under the fire a little bit to get this thing done. And I understand this is a little hiccup, but this is the parking
all
lot.
right, let me ask a question. Let's just say there's no days on it. Are they obligated to accept the extension or this adjustment just because we approved it?
No.
Then they're gonna come back January 3rd and say, well, no, we don't wanna approve it. We gotta give them something. My opinion. They
I
gotta
think
let
they
you
are, I
get
think they
something.
are gonna hold you to
Yeah.
some, days.
He,
Otherwise, we say we're not doing it.
one of the contractor's representatives was on the conference call yesterday, and he alluded to the days. We didn't start talking details about the 45, but his comments were, we're gonna have this big hole out there, we're gonna have tracos, we're gonna have dump trucks all around, we're gonna impede the process of working around that building. Now, what door he's going in to work inside, I don't know.
Right.
But that, I can tell you now, that's the path I think he's gonna take to save the days, is it's slowing down the process inside the building
Because
because
we can't get
stuff's
access
in the
to
way.
it. Yeah, he's going to.
That's.
But
gonna-
I could
just
see
tell you.
that somewhat too.
I can too. I can, so we say 30 or 21?
I think 21 is reasonable to me.
All right,
You
based on
won't
the,
be able to get equipment in there.
based on the recommendation of
So this-
Carl,
like
throw him on the
trucks
bus,
or,
doesn't work out,
yeah.
21 days
If you- I don't know
on the
which one.
extension, approval to go down to 12 feet at 259, whatever that number is in the letter. Is that kind of the consensus of the board? I know Mr. Cross is not happy about the days, but that's just kind of the way it's going.
I'm not happy with him either, but I know he's gonna want something.
And I
Well, I
don't
guess
want
my-
them
I
to
guess
stop
my point is,
working or potentially stop this process.
I just don't want it piggybacked off another problem that they find on these 21 days. Is what's going to end up happening. It's just, oh, we can just delay this other part here because we got a 21-day window, and it's just didn't put. There's no heat or fire on these guys to get it done. I mean, we're already. How many days past the number are we right now?
About 45 days.
So we're 45 days now. Another 20. So you're now 60 days ish. If you gave them an extra 20.
But the point is, they can
If
say,
you don't-
no,
if
we're
you
not
don't,
going to
and
do
they
this.
can't get it out, then they're still gonna come back and say, hey, the problem is, we can't get our delivery trucks in there. We're having to offload them here and work this all around here, and now it's muddy, you've dug this out.
It's tight
They're
as it
gonna find
is,
some
as tight as it
mess.
is where they're working.
They're gonna find
you
some
know,
mess.
so.
Right on.
All right, I'm gonna make the motion that we go with 259 plus whatever on that letter, extension of 21 days on the thing. Anything else we need to address, Mr. Carl, Craig?
That's
I don't like
probably
any of it.
enough.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and instruct Carl to tell them we're tired of time extensions.
No,
We are
not.
tired of time extensions. We
In
do
all- in
not
all
wish to
caps.
entertain any more.
Time.
Well, now, Tim, are you gonna still check with another geotech?
Yes, sir. I think we need to explore that avenue. I mean, unless y'all don't.
Now, go ahead, please.
I like that because, I mean, that would save, I'm not talking so much dollars, it would save time. Because you're not going down as deep, you're not tearing the place up as bad.
No, just for curiosity's sake, we're gonna do it because I want to know the answer. I mean,
Right.
I think it'll work, and I want to know why it won't. If it,
Well, do you want to, or what is y'all's opinion then? You want to try to authorize it if Tim is good with it, 6 foot? But again, you're not saving that much money, and Jared's probably right, you probably will be saving some time, you know, but they,
6
you
foot
know.
12 is a big difference in a hole.
How long will it take you to know that time frame, Tim?
it depends on who I can get in touch
I mean, like
with.
a month, 2 months?
No.
Oh, no, no.
I mean, throw something around.
No,
is
no,
what I'm
first of
saying.
the week. I mean, you talking about
Okay,
just knowing
yeah.
the answer to that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, first of the week. a couple
You
of
don't,
days.
you don't need an extension to find out.
No, yeah, I'll need a 5-day extension to find out.
I understand.
No, I'm good with it. I can find it out quick.
Well, I can hold off. I mean, there's no, if we're gonna.
Well, we want to give you some walking orders, so we don't have to wait till January 3rd to make
Okay.
another decision, have another discussion about it.
Yeah.
Something we can come up with that we can live with, right, Mr. Slade, that we can.
Sure. So Carl now has the authority, if y'all assume y'all will go ahead and authorize it, but you're telling him, hold that information for a period of 5 days to let Tim see what he can find out.
Well, you're only talking about Monday.
Middle of next week.
Monday.
And I may get somebody on the phone this afternoon. I don't know. I just, that's,
All right, but at what point then does we feel comfortable, go ahead and tell Tim to say, within this motion, that the 6 foot number at 175,000 is a good number to move on, because it's going to save us, but the problem is they're still gonna negotiate those days. That's my problem with it. Whether you do 6 foot or 12 foot, that days are gonna be negotiated,
Well, that's
and
a
it may
mute
not.
subject. If you go in half the distance, it's not gonna tear it up as bad. They're not gonna be down.
Well, that's what they may say from 45 to 21. They say they need the 45 to be 12, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to come up with something
Right.
that can have marching orders, so we don't wait till January 3rd to try to solve this problem.
Right.
because of the stance that the existing geotech has taken now, and the contractor, I mean, I guess I'm at a point to where unless they decide, or another geotech says, man, there's no sense at all in going 12 foot deep, then we just go ahead and do the 12 foot. Because there's always gonna be that question about the 6 foot. If anything happens, and we don't do what the geotech has recommended, I think we're gonna have issues, we could potentially have issues with paving.
Well, like Jay said, after, you know it's not gonna collapse in the next 4 or 5 years, or sink, or whatever. It's not, it hadn't done it yet. It hadn't done it likely all this time. So, I mean, we're gonna be responsible for it anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, no, my concern, Jared, is that the geotech didn't say, yeah, I think you can get it paved the way you suggested with the sand and the
Right.
fill. He said, no, his report to Mr. Carl was, we're not willing to stand behind that at all, even with a disclaimer. That
How are they gonna
concerns
stand
me.
behind, how do they stand behind it?
What's that now?
What makes them, where are they gonna be standing behind it after how long?
Just with that recommendation that it would work, even with a disclaimer that they don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why
If it doesn't work at 12 feet, just like they're saying, are they still coming back and be responsible for anything?
Man, we beat this horse to death. Let's move on.
Well, what they would say is, based on all the exploration, this is our professional recommendation based on our experience in our profession. So that's gonna be their responsibility, same as any doctor or something. They're gonna do whatever. It's a standard of care, and this is what they would say would be their standard of care.
At the end of the day, we gotta do at least 6 feet, right?
Yeah, I would
Gotta do
think-
something.
Right,
We can't just not ignore it.
No, we can't, no.
Can't ignore it.
Something's gotta be done.
So we figure that's gonna be around 175,000. So for another 75 grand, that we might as well go ahead and go 6 feet further, gives a little bit more cushion, a little more protection. So my motion is 21 days at the contract price of 12 feet, 260, whatever it is. That's my motion. Is there a
And
second?
we'll see if and we're gonna look at our trucks or whatever, help them.
I don't think so.
I don't want to tie up our trucks if we got
I'm
something
just
else going
asking you.
on.
It came up, that's what I'm asking.
I don't want to give them any reason at all to
Okay.
argue
It's all
that
been-
we were somehow responsible for yet another delay.
Okay, that's fine, that came up, so I just wanted.
Mr. Bishop,
to
is there a
make sure that
second?
was out there.
Second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Nay.
3-2 vote, moves on forward. Am I correct with 3-2 vote?
That's right.
3-2 vote?
That first is to add.
I'm sorry, that was to add that to the
Yes,
motion.
this is
And
to
so on a vote of 3-2, Mr. Bishop, Mr. Cross voted in the nay. The agenda is added. I make the motion to approve said item, seconded by Mr. Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Same
Thanks.
3-2 vote to move forward. Anything else, Mr. Carl?
No, I think I probably ruined y'all's Christmas already, so and I apologize for that, but thank y'all. I do hope y'all have a Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
All
Thank you,
right,
Carl.
moving on. Old business, our motion to approve the November 29th, December 3rd minutes.
So move.
Move Mr. Bishop, second by myself. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any questions? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved Mr. Bishop, second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. At this point in time, we're going to interject under Mr. Schley. I see Judge Roberts and the soon-to-be Judge Odom. Congratulations, Judge, on your election to solve their issue here before us so they can move on to other things. I assume that's what they're here for. So, Mr. Schley?
Yes, sir. This would be item J under my section. It's the last item under my section. So what this agenda item is seeking is for you to consider and potentially approve the request of our Chancellor-elect Troy Odom. Congratulations, Judge Odom. For the Board of Supervisors to reimburse the Mississippi Administrative Office of Courts for the cost of salary and fringes that are associated with a time period, a short time period of about 18 total calendar days, January 2, it's 19 days, January 2, 2019 through January 20, 2019, for his new deputy court administrator. Her name is Lori Hill. This request is being necessitated because the current court administrator that is employed by Judge Grant, who is now retiring, is on Family and Medical Leave Act leave through January the 20th of 2019. And because she's under the protection of that federal FMLA, she is entitled to continuing compensation through the Administrative Office of Courts. And she's entitled to that all the way through January the 20th. And so Chancellor Odom has been instructed by AOC that they will not pay for two court administrators during that period of time when he actually takes the oath on the 2nd through the 20th, which is the last date that the current court administrator will be compensated through AOC. So unless we get authority from you guys to reimburse AOC for, and by the way, even though they are saying we're not going to pay for two, they are saying we are the only ones that can pay. So we can't pay Ms. Hill directly, but we can get you guys to authorize Ms. Laura to reimburse AOC for what they end up paying Ms. Hill to actually come into work, to work for Troy when he takes office and starts conducting court. So that's what this whole thing is. It's the estimated cost, total cost, fringe, everything, insurance, all of that whole package, PERS and everything, is in the neighborhood of $6,000.
Yeah, so moved. I'll
We
make that
could
motion.
send Janice up there.
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Cross, second by myself. Any discussion?
Yeah,
All-
I got a question. The current one, is she going on?
Due to pregnancy.
I mean, you're bringing in your own, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so the current one, she's leaving after she gets well?
Yeah, she's on FMLA because she had a baby. So
Right.
I'm
So
not sure. I'm
there's
sure
not
what
gonna
her
be a place for her,
I
right?
don't know what her plans are. She's not going to be a court administrator.
She had a baby
Yeah,
and took FMLA,
right.
and it doesn't expire to the 20th of January, and you can't fill that term. You
Yeah.
can't, the job has to stay open during FMLA.
Okay.
It's a very unusual circumstance.
Yeah.
Because Judge Odom is entitled to hire his own staff.
Yeah.
And she's not a part of that staff.
But she knows, though.
Oh,
that-
yes.
Yeah,
She
okay.
knows she's
All right.
not being retained. But
All
she-
right.
I do not think she knows that the two of us are here even dealing, we have not even broached her about the subject of this 18-day hang-up. because,
Gotcha.
I mean, she just had a baby.
Right. All right.
Motion by Mr. Cross, second by myself. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Slade. Thank you, judges. Moving back to the agenda, Mr. Sullivan's not here, so I'll let Ms. Oster take care of this problem.
Okay, the first item under John Sullivan is petition to change the assessment in the 2018 real and personal property assessment roll.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. B, please, ma'am.
Next item, approval to certify the Department of Revenue's order approving the real and personal property rolls for 2018.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Morris, and second, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. I see Bridget's on vacation, so I think Ms. Oster's going that one too, isn't she?
Yes. This is award the bids for the unit system as approved by the Public Procurement Review Board on December 5th, 2018. We had 6 that were approved by them. They're listed here, and I gave each one of y'all a packet that has each one that shows who it is awarded to and who the first and second alternate is.
Yeah, let me get that real quick.
I'll make
If
a
you
motion
don't-
to approve.
Second.
Hey,
Second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion?
yeah, is this for all 1 through 6? Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
it is.
Reflection, 1
It's all
through A,
red.
1 through 6.
I'd like to hold tight on, can we pull number 1 out?
Wow.
Because I'm gonna vote differently on number 1 than I'm gonna vote for the rest of them.
We
That's
can
always
take
problem
them
with the reservoir
individually,
people.
or we
Don't
can take
get it,
them.
you know.
So let's vote on 2 through 6. You amend your motion, Bob?
All right,
To do
we'll
2
amend the
through 6.
motion. I'll amend the motion and we'll go on A first. We'll start with number 1 first on the
Okay,
bid for
all right.
annual joint asphalt. I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Mr. Cross, on a vote of 4-1, number 1 is approved. I'll make the motion on 2 through 6 to be approved. Second, Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Let the record reflect 5-0 on 2 through 6. Thank you, Ms. Oster. Mr. Parker.
Would you like for me to do his too, since he's not
Sure.
over here?
Go for it. No.
I'll have them all in.
I understand. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. President. I have
Yes, sir.
three items. First one is our Oak Grove Drainage Improvements Project. We recommend approval of pay application number 4 in the amount of $117,289.97 to JWB Construction, Inc. and authority to issue check. Now, you'll notice what I stated is a little bit off of what's printed there. Instead of 280.97, it's 289.
$9?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So did you make a motion to change that on the item on the agenda first? I assume, well, let's go ahead. I'll have some
Make
fun
motion
here in a
approved.
minute. Make a motion to make that adjustment, Mr. Bishop, second by myself. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. We need to approve it now. All right, motion by Mr. This is gonna fix
So
the
moved.
nice driveway and get the mud.
No, well, we need to talk about that. I got another email last night. I forwarded you guys. Are we gonna get that taken care of today?
The bail bond,
Yeah.
it should be taken care of by now, yes.
Okay. All right.
Should be.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by myself. Any
Should be.
discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. B,
All
Mr.
right,
Parker.
thank you. Item B, Holly Bush Road Improvement Project. We recommend approval of pay application number 7 in the amount of $103,352.79 to Southern Rock LLC and authority to issue that check.
I make a motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Gaines, second by Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. C, please, sir.
Item C, Windward Bluff, Phase 5. This is a private development out off of Spillway Road. Everything in there is private. And they have submitted a preliminary plat, and then if the board approves it and they go forward, then they'll get into the construction phase. But the only involvement Rankin County has is this plat, approving this plat. And we recommend approval of this plat.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cross, second Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Hang
Parker.
on, Mr. Parker, before you leave. I believe tomorrow is the deadline for our Oak Grove project. Obviously, he's not through, so what are we gonna do?
Well,
Hear the pin drop?
you can charge him time and you can withhold it from his final payment on the project. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I wanna know where we are and, as far as the time completion and, how many days he asking for?
Is he asking for days? I mean, has he got rain days, anything in there already?
No.
No.
I'll get that information for you. I don't have that in hand.
Well, okay.
But you want a whole breakdown on the project?
Well, I mean, we don't meet again until January, and that's another 3 weeks, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
3 weeks past his deadline.
Let's just go ahead and institute penalties for something we can go ahead and do now, and we can always roll it back. Can't we, Mr. Slay, if it turns out he's got a legitimate reason?
Right.
Let's go ahead and set it out there.
We really should have started this first of the month then.
It's under the contract.
Well, I want to put him on notice, though, that
Yeah. To get his
we
attention.
are,
We can do that without board action. It would seem appropriate to notify him that he is now in the penalty phase or penalty period of the contract.
Yeah.
And that we're intending to enforce our right to liquidated damages under the contract. And, you know, you're encouraged to minimize those damages.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to mount. So hurry up, get finished.
Well, he knew that he was not going to have this, and he talked to Chris before, said he wanted days. I think that's something he should address before the deadline.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm ready
We haven't
to.
authorized an extension of the contract.
Yeah.
It's now terminated, or it's now at its end.
Do you want him before the board?
I mean, I just want it finished.
Okay.
So, you know, let him know that the
We'll get the appropriate
Tired of those
penalties are calculated.
You're tired of pictures, aren't you?
Oh, I got one last night.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
sure you did. I'm just saying that you won't see any more of
Get the
that.
appropriate contact information and put him on notice.
Anything else, Mr. Parker?
No, sir. That's
No,
it.
thank you, Mr. Parker. Mr. Slay, you're up. We're gonna take A through E, I believe, together, can't we?
Dude, they have this
Public hearings.
laying on the freaking ground.
These are to set public hearings for January 3 at 9 o'clock.
Motion to approve. Oh,
Motion,
you got
Mr.
to
Bishop,
list them
second.
first?
No, sir.
Okay.
About Mr. Morrison, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Public hearing F, Mr. Slade.
Item F is a public hearing on proposed amendments to the Rankin County Stormwater Management Plan. This is simply a public hearing. The public has been notified that we would conduct this public hearing on this date and at this time. Let the record reflect that the appropriate notifications have been made. We will open that public hearing. I will ask if there is anyone here to speak publicly on the matter of amendments to the Rankin County Stormwater Management Plan. Is there anyone here to speak on that matter? You got anything you want to add on that? Okay. Very good. Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in the matter of the public hearing. We will close that hearing. There's no action that needs to be taken at this time.
All right, moving on then,
Motion
please.
to, oh, we don't need to. Okay.
No, it's
All right.
closed. Item G, this is action to authorize the board president to execute the grant of a 10-foot utility easement to Entergy Incorporated for the delivery of electric service to the Rankin County Maintenance Facility. This is in the Rankin First Industrial Park. This is our new road maintenance facility. They are from the point where the overhead terminates, they go down underground and come to the building. And so this is a 10-foot utility easement to provide that electric service underground to the building.
Motion approved.
Motion, Mr. Bishop, to approve. Second, Mr. Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Next,
Craig,
Commissioner.
may I interject something right here and do an addition? It also goes along with this easement. There are two bills that are in the packet from Entergy that we will have to pay in order for them to do this work. One is for the steel poles themselves, $29,265. And the second invoice is in the amount of $9,607.53, and that is for installation.
I make a motion to add it to the agenda.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. I make the motion to approve. Second,
Second.
Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, Mr. Slade.
Yes, sir. Item H is the acknowledgement of receipt of sealed bid, of a sealed bid that's responsive to the Rankin County Sheriff's Department's surplus property offering. And I have those sealed bids here. The first bid to open is a sealed bid on the 14 by 70 modular home that's in the possession of the sheriff. That has already been surplused. So I'm going to open that bid and acknowledge its receipt. It's a bid from Mr. Earl Dean Rhodes. It is to consider the letter as an offer to purchase the 14 by 70 foot modular house trailer. He is offering to pay $1,000 payable in check or cash to the Rankin County Board of Supervisors for the modular trailer. All right, so that's the only bid that's been received.
Is that including hauling, or is that, are we taking it? How does that play out to get it where it needs to go?
It is.
Up to him?
So I want to get them moved soon, get them out with our lots full.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I make motion approved.
I mean, we're not,
I'm asking where, he's gotta come get it. He's gotta come get it out of your lot. I mean, we gonna let him hook it up and we even give a check for $1,000 and he's good to go, right? That's my understanding. Motion, Mr. Bishop, to accept the bid. Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, Mr. Slade.
Yes, the second item is a sealed bid for the 2003 396 square foot
modular unit that is in the possession of the sheriff. So I am opening that bid. This bid likewise is from Mr. Earl Dean Rhodes. He asked that we consider this letter to be an offer to purchase the 2003 396 square foot modular house trailer with the appropriate serial number. His bid is in the amount of $500 payable in check or cash to the Rankin County Board of Supervisors.
The problem is, he's already set the market at 1,000.
How much was this one?
This one's $500. It's
This one's bigger too.
yeah. One was what's 14 by 70? Somebody do the math on that for me right quick. What is that? About 8,000 square feet. This is a
I don't
300.
think it's 8,000 square feet.
No, 8,000.
800.
Yeah. That'd be
How about
closer.
that? Yeah. I added a zero there. I was
This is
almost
about
like I
half. This
was
is
almost
about
like I
half.
was billing there for a second. Sorry about that. I went into bill mode.
You always round up, huh?
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
it's the same size, 980, that's the size of the dog pen.
980. Okay.
All right, so same stipulation here. He's got to come and get this one as well,
Yeah.
obviously. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Slade. What's next?
Next item is an action to rescind an ad valorem tax exemption that was given to the Scott. I'll just go ahead and tell you, this is the Scott's Miracle Grow facility.
Right.
That tax exemption obviously is based on specific parameters about that facility, the number of jobs that it creates. There were other incentives that were provided as a part of that tax exemption.
Right.
That property was sold, and the new user is not operating it as a Scott's Miracle Grow type of facility. They've transferred that facility over to a warehouse facility that does not qualify for the tax exemption that was available to Scott's. And so we're taking this step to simply acknowledge in the minutes that that tax exemption that was provided for that piece of property while it was in the possession of Scott's is no longer applicable to the property, and you're being asked to rescind the tax exemption effective the date of sale, which is October 2, 2018.
What made you go with that rather than the date they left?
Because title would have continued to remain in Scott's Miracle Grow that actually has the exemption. And the exemption doesn't say
If they leave or
as
not.
long as you're operating at a particular level or anything like that, Jay. It's
Okay.
just not, it's not that finely tuned, if
Gotcha.
I may say that. So this is a clear
Motion
date
approved.
that's enforceable.
Motion
Second.
approved, Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, Mr. Slade.
That's all that's under my section. We've already taken care of Jay.
All right.
If you'll
Miss-
give me the privilege, guys, y'all have something that we want to try to take now?
If y'all want to do it now.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and get our right-of-way acquisition folks that have been helping us with our various projects. If you don't mind, Mr. President, we'll just go ahead and get that taken care of, and then we'll be able to move on.
All right, gentlemen, how about it?
We need to establish just compensation for some more properties on Andrew Chapel Road. These are, let me pass out some summary charts to you.
Killed a tree there, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Pastor Reed.
Good morning.
Heck, goes, huh?
Thank you.
We have about 20 tracks that we're asking to establish just compensation today. The total to purchase the right-of-way on these tracks is $263,515. If you look at parcel 65, we had a typo in our Juanita Cruz parcel 65 on page 3. We had $270. It was supposed to be $2,700, so that's that
What was
that
the
error. Little typo, $2,000 typo. So the total is $263,515. And this will finish the establishments of just compensation for Andrew Chapel Road, less 2 that we have potential, some potential
Wow,
damages.
that was good.
That's 84 parcels, 82 of which will have been 2 out of 84 remain.
Some of these were complex parcels. That's why the numbers are a little bit larger on this group than the last. We've got some proximity considerations and some landscaping improvements. That's why the gross numbers are higher here.
Yeah, land is obviously higher over there than it is down at Gunner Road.
Well, we're doing more at
Yeah,
once
remember
too.
We're doing, yeah, this is all coming one time.
Yeah, we're
I'll
doing-
make a motion that we,
Second.
Second.
All right, hang on just a second. Oh, damn it. Okay. All right. Motion by Mr. Gaines, second Mr. Morrison, to add this to the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Motion by Mr. Gaines to approve, second Mr. Morrison. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got one quick. Why are we had to pay the state for money?
Same reason you pay the school district. They got the handout.
This is just to establish just compensation. That doesn't mean that they're going to, that we will have to pay them. That's part of the
Okay. I got you.
negotiation.
All right.
We just have to establish just compensation, and then, of course, we're going to try to get donations where we can.
All right.
And,
I hope you presented in that we'd like you
do.
to donate instead of said you can.
So you've
but
established we haven't obtained them then. This is
No.
just, okay.
No, we have,
This is
yes,
just
no,
comes
this is,
down-
I was gonna say, man, you done impressed me. son, so, all right.
we're working hard.
You got
Okay.
them all at one time?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, geez, man, we still working on Gunner Road 2 years later, and
All right, I think there's been a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else?
That's it. Merry
Good.
Christmas. Thank
We
y'all.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy
y'all.
holidays.
Ms. Oster, I think you're up and running.
Okay, first item I have is authority to pay the constables their 2018 allowance for lost cause in the amount of $1,800 each. Brad Patridge, Barry Bean, Gary Wyndham, and Robert Hancock.
most approved.
second.
Motion, Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Jared over there biting his cheek.
Huh?
So you over there biting your cheek.
Next item is authority for Rankin County
Go
to
ahead.
enter into a contract with Sanborn Map Company in the amount of $54,589.65 for professional services for aerial photography. We will get $8,000 back from NRCS. If some of the smaller counties, it doesn't take that amount for them, it's a possibility some of the money could be reallocated. We could get more than the $8,000, but we won't know that.
Motion to approve by myself, second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, Ms. Oster.
This is under the new misdemeanor facility. It's approval of a change order number 4. The cost in the amount of $33,319, and that is to furnish and install a second row of chain link fence at the rear of the facility.
Motion, Mr. Morrison, to
Second.
approve, second by Mr. Bishop. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you had a question?
No, well, I had a question too. Why is this, why would you know this up front? Where did this come in
I
second?
kind of thought the
You
same
know,
thing.
Well, I guess we just overlooked when we just looked at the plans, but this is the exercise yard in the back. This is just a second row of insurance, in case somebody crosses the first one, that's
This
gotta
is gonna
cross
have
the
the-
second one. You know, I know it's misdemeanor and all, but still, it's just gonna be a deterrent to them. There'll be razor wire on top of it.
Right, all right. I was just curious. I mean, I thought, fence would naturally come.
I think Brian told us about this
Huh?
a month ago or so.
Second.
I remember you bringing this up.
Yeah, 'cause they throw like a mattress
Afterthought.
over the first set of
Yeah,
razor wire, but they'd
yeah.
have to take 2 mattresses to get up 2 sets.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, to a second, second Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, Ms. Oster.
Thank you. This is on the new Rankin County Courthouse facility, and it is approval of pay application number 17 to Chris Albritton Construction in the amount of $207,346.73, and authority to issue that check.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bishop, second Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, any additional business, gentlemen?
I have one item, if I may, Mr. President.
Sure.
To call to everyone's attention. Ms. Walker, can you come forward, please? And Mike, come on.
Laura, while they're doing that, could we assign that check? Just go ahead and pay for this hole digging? Carl Britton.
What you mean? Oh.
It's about the same amount,
All right, Mr. Slade.
I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to actually go through the package just yet, but if you haven't, I've got a copy of it here for us. This is Miss Amy Walker's with Ergon, and works very closely with Mike on our program for street improvement, and has really helped us immensely over the past year plus in developing a program that has now been recognized nationally for an award. And so Mike and Ergon have combined forces to come up with systems that are now recognized in the world of asphalt and emulsion at the highest levels. And they have been awarded the Past President's Award for Emulsion Excellence. And I've got the package here. The number that really makes sense for you guys to focus on is that the work product that has been achieved would have cost, under normal circumstances, using traditional methodology, the work product would have cost the county taxpayers in the neighborhood of $12 million to do a 100-mile project, around $12 million. The actual cost to do the improvement and to get an extension of life on the roads that have been impacted, the 100 miles, is in the neighborhood of $4 million. The outcome for the taxpayers, obviously, then, is a savings of $8 million to do this program. And this is being seen across the county, multiple places. This is simply to whet your appetite. I haven't informed Ms. Walker this just yet, but our intention is to call more attention to this. We just recently were made aware of this. It just came off the presses for us, and we haven't had time to really put together the kind of demonstration that we want to put together for you guys. And so our intention, if Ms. Walker is available and willing, is to come back, kind of put you on the spot, is to come back on January the 7th at our first January meeting and actually display the work product and show you the award, the composition of the award, and how they arrived at it. We felt like it was important to go ahead and bring it to your attention now because it's happened, and we wanted you guys to be made aware of this and to express appropriate appreciation, I think, to our road department, to the guys on the road crew, and obviously to our important contractors and vendors that help us with these kinds of things. That teamwork has resulted in an $8 million taxpayer savings, and that's really something that ought to be highlighted. Appreciate the fact
Not only that, is it allowed us to get a better surface on a lot more miles of road that we could have never done.
And the work product speaks for itself, and I want to highlight this this award package. I want to encourage you to look at it. It's quite impressive to see just how dressed up the final product looks, and to know that the cost associated with that is a factor of what it would otherwise cost. In other words, you look at the road and your immediate thought is this road has been completely rehabilitated. And the truth of the matter is that it has been brought up to a condition that looks like a brand spanking new road. It's very impressive. And to know that we get the cost savings on top of that is just that much more impressive. So we wanted to make sure that folks in the public were aware of this. We also wanted to give you guys an opportunity to not only pat the back of our road crew and our vendors that help us like this, but also to be reminded yourself that you put these folks in place and you give them the responsibility to try to be as efficient with taxpayer money as we possibly can be. And so whenever we get that right, we think it's appropriate to make sure that that's called attention to. Okay?
Great.
Thank y'all.
Amy,
Yes,
you did
we're
great.
looking forward to
You did awesome.
And we're looking forward to January the 7th.
Well done, Mike.
All right, any other additional business? I think there's going to be a need for executive session, but is there any need for additional business? Anything else, gentlemen?
What a Christmas present. Executive session.
How about anything else, additional business? Mike, anything? All right, so I'll make the motion to discuss the need for executive session. Second, Mr. Morrison. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. What's the need? We make a motion for personnel and litigation for executive session. Second, Mr. Morrison, any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Everybody get out. Merry Christmas.
Don't screw you down on the end.